Good evening.
Yes, good evening and welcome.
We hope that you're all doing well and remaining as optimistic as these times allow.
Indeed.
We're happy to be with you.
Yes, we are. And I'm happy to be with you, Jane. Hello to you.
Hello. Hello to you, Tony.
Jane Kazmarek, everyone.
And of course, Tony Shalhoub.
Okay, yeah, it says hold for applause. So.
Oh. Okay, but that's probably enough.
Almost. Just a little bit.
Tony.
All right, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Please sit.
Tony and I are thrilled to be hosting Bank Street's 2021 Gala.
We are.
You know, Tony, Bank Street has been around for a very long time.
Is that so?
Yes, it is. Look right here.
Oh.
Right? It says Bank Street was established in 1916.
Wow.
1916. You know what that means?
Yeah. Means that this year marks the 100th anniversary.
Oh, no, you're off by 5 years.
This year marks the 95th anniversary.
And try one more time.
90th, the 90th anniversary.
Tony, did you take math in school?
Define math.
Tony and I are both actors, so there's a whole chapter on that. And folks, if that doesn't underscore the importance of tonight's events, I don't know what does. Because Bank Street believes that everyone should have access to a quality education, even Tony.
Thank you.
And now, please welcome
Bank Street President Shale Pollica Saransky.
Thank you for being here. First, I want to thank Yolanda Farrell-Brown, who has served as the chair of our Board of Trustees for the past 7 years. She's been a wonderful partner and mentor for me and a tremendous leader for our institution. I also want to welcome Victoria Hamilton, who will become our new board chair this summer. Our theme tonight celebrates teachers as heroes, and deservedly so. My favorite teacher was Mr. Corbett, my 4th grade teacher. He made learning come to life for me. He loved birds, and over the course of the spring, he divided our class into bird watching groups of 4. He would bring us to the local arboretum early in the mornings before school with binoculars and bird books to look for new birds. We excitedly transcribed our bird sightings onto a wall of giant butcher box paper when we returned to the classroom. We learned about nature and science, and we built a deeper relationship with our teacher. My daughter Selah is 4 and is a student at our school for children. I see the impact that Bank Street's extraordinary educators are having on a daily basis, from mediating intense debates on Zoom amongst her and her classmates about the risks of wasps versus bees, to joyful dance parties on Fridays. Last week she came tearing upstairs very excited to teach me the Macarena. For more than a century now, Bank Street has been at the vanguard of preparing educators who can reach the whole child, who can unlock curiosity and imagination, who challenge and engage children in real-world learning, who work from children's strengths and deeply understand who they are. But the thought I want to offer you tonight is, what if teachers didn't need to be heroes? What if every school was designed with the child at the center? What if we eliminated childhood poverty? What if children of color felt a sense of belonging and respect for their identity in school? This is the world that Bank Street is working toward. We are working to change the public education system so it is both more equitable and more successful in supporting good teaching and learning. Our Birth to 3 policy initiative and our Strauss Center work to maximize the potential of a child's first 1,000 days. The National Center for Children in Poverty advances policies designed to eliminate childhood poverty. The Center on Culture, Race, and Equity works with schools to address racism and promote a sense of belonging for children of color. And Prepared to Teach and our Ed Prep Lab advocate for policies that will help the country develop many more great teachers. Bank Street is a leader in the world of education, developing models that are paving the way for change across the country. History tells us just how critical this work is, especially in this moment. Consider research on babies born in the midst of the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918. Compared with children born just before or after the outbreak, these children were less likely to finish high school and were more likely to depend on public assistance. These harmful effects were twice as large for children of color. The stakes for the work we do are higher than ever, and your support of Bank Street very literally makes this work possible. It improves the lives of children, of families, and of teachers. We need your support in this moment. We're deeply grateful to have you with us here this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, and thanks so much for being with us tonight. I'm Yolanda Farrell Brown, Chair of Bank Street's Board of Trustees. This gathering marks my last as Chair of the Board. In June, I will hand over the reins to our Chair-elect, Victoria Hamilton. Before I do so, I want to thank the Bank Street students, staff, families, alumni, and you, our supporters, who have enriched my tenure as Chair. I viewed my role as protecting what makes Bank Street so special, ensuring our finances, policies, and governance were in place so our remarkable teachers and staff could do the work of serving students and families. Captaining this ship through the unsteady waters of the past 7 years, and the last year in particular, has not always been easy, but it has been more important and relevant than ever. As our mission says, we seek to strengthen not only individuals, but the community as well, including family, school, and the larger society in which adults and children in all their diversity interact and learn. We see in education the opportunity to build a better society. This building will now continue under the leadership of Victoria, the Chair-elect. Victoria has served on Bank Street's Board of Trustees since 2001, playing an active role with both humor and humility. Her unwavering commitment to Bank Street has included serving on everything from the governance committee of the Bank Street Head Start Center to the 2015 and 2020 strategic planning steering committees to supporting the Education Center's Prepare to Teach initiative. Victoria blends practicality and passion in a way that will help Bank Street meet this unique moment in the history of our city, our country, and our institution. Thank you to Victoria for taking on this role, and thank you for your support of Bank Street.
My name is Sidra Bell, and I graduated in 1993. Coming in, I probably was about 5 years old. I was very silent as a child, and I think Bank Street really helped with that because they allowed us to kind of develop as children. They never tried to really change us. They just tried to make space for us. Bank Street always emphasized the need to be in song with each other and in dance. These kinds of rituals and gatherings were the way that we could feel community. The students come from so many backgrounds, but they found a way to bring us together through this Revels event every year and thinking about the sun as a unifying human connection. That was a big thing every year. Revel, my friends, by the warmth of the fire, So that was sort of what I was thinking about on that deck. It was a little bit of a sanctuary, the deck, because it's like in the middle of the city somehow, but like a haven. You didn't really hear of the honking, and it just felt like a really safe zone. The combination of the sort of really formal dance training and then to have had this experience at Bank Street where there's another kind of rigor, but it's deconstructive, it's imaginative, led me to be in a space of invention, to have this sense of formalism, but then carrying that through into my own imaginative realms and dreams. And I think that combination was really sort of essential to what I'm doing now, which is making dances. And I think a lot pedagogically through improvisational systems and games, and I bring it through in the way that I teach.
If I had to pick one teacher, I don't know if I can do it without getting emotional though, it would be my piano teacher. And her name was Shirley Traxler. She had curly hair. She had a wonderful laugh. She had an incredible sense of humor, a very corny sense of humor. She would definitely use puns, was a big part of her humor. I can't imitate her, but I know her voice was always lilting. There was always optimism in her voice. There was a sense of wonder and potential. I see her leaning into me, laughing. I played Bach, but I also remember the scales that I had to play where I had to start at the middle and then go out. And so there was sort of a brained hand coordination that was a lot of fun. So she was playful in the way she taught me. I see when I make a mistake that she keeps on going. One of my favorite parts was when I got good enough to actually improvise with her, where she could play and I could play, and it could be something that was interactive and spontaneous. I remember when her two girls asked me how babies were born when I was babysitting for them, and I didn't know what to do. And of course I talked to her that night, and she actually said to me, "Tell me what you would say." And I told her, and she said, "I think you should tell them because they're asking you. They trust you, and I trust you." And that was just an awfully powerful and awesome moment where there was a grown-up who was trusting me with something big in the lives of her children. The thing I thought I would talk about is the impact of my mentor at Bank Street when I started at Bank Street College, and her name is Amy Dombrow. Amy reminds me so much of my piano teacher. Amy, particularly when you're working with young children, taught me about how important it is to slow down and make space for children to show us who they are and what they need. Amy really taught me how much information there was to gather from children, to observe, to ask questions, to be curious, to slow down, meant that whatever choice you made as a teacher yourself was going to be in response to something real and deep and meaningful.
And we're back.
Hey, hello again.
I think it's going very well, don't you?
I think it's going very well. Yeah, but what do I know?
He's just a pretty face. As you can tell, Bank Street is a truly special place.
Hey, here's to 90 more years.
Yes, Tony?
Right, got it.
And so if this past year has taught us anything, it's taught us a new appreciation for just how important teachers are to the fabric of society.
True, and with your help, Bank Street will continue to be a beacon for educators who shape the field and for students who change the world.
So please, won't you consider making a donation today?
We hope you do.
It's worth it. It's meaningful.
And next, we'll hear a conversation between former Obama Secretary of Education John King and Turnaround for Children founder Dr. Pamela Cantor.
Moderated by our old pal,
Shale Pollico-Saransky.
Well, John and Pam, thank you so much for joining us for this important conversation today. Tell us a little bit about a moment in your own life, particularly as a young person, where there was sort of a powerful turning point. What comes to mind?
My early childhood growing up in Brooklyn was the moment where both relationships and schools played an incredibly important role in my life. In fourth grade, my mom passed away, and my dad was struggling with undiagnosed Alzheimer's. So home was this place that was incredibly difficult. And the thing that saved me was school. School was a place of consistency and joy in learning and powerful relationships, including this amazing teacher in 4th, 5th, 6th grade who looped with us, which was very unusual at the time. That environment of socio-emotional support and academic engagement really shaped the whole trajectory of my life. I mean, I became an educator to try to do for other kids what Mr. Osterweil had done for me.
It's often said that every child needs at least one person who is not necessarily their family, that they trust. I knew very severe trauma as a child, and my family couldn't face that this was happening. And I had that one person who happened to be a therapist. He didn't see me as this ugly, dirty thing that I thought I was at the time. And not only did he say it, but he made me believe it. And that was the thing that made me know that I had to become a doctor. But it was his belief that not only made me know this is what I needed to do, but it gave me the fuel to do it. So relationships have the power to totally change the trajectory of a life, no matter where that life begins.
You know, at Bank Street, we believe deeply that building powerful relationships between teachers and students is central to the educational project. What does the science say about why this is important? Why does it work?
There is no separation between nature and nurture, biology and environment, brain and behavior, only a collaboration between them. So development and learning science tell a very optimistic picture about what all young people are capable of, because their brains and their bodies are malleable to experience. And the brain is malleable over time. Most of its growth happens after we're born, so there are multiple opportunities to catch up along the way. And if we optimize the design of context, we optimize development and learning. And if we do that, we optimize the possibility for positive life outcomes for many more kids. And we've done that for some kids, mostly middle class, affluent kids, but we haven't done that for all kids. And we especially have not done that for students of color and students in low-income communities. This is the opportunity that we have right now and the inflection point that we're in. What happens from here depends on what we engage in.
In your experience, what does the science mean for how we train and support teachers and how schools are organized?
We've got to prepare teachers, we've got to prepare principals to think about what does it mean to create a community that fosters strong relationships between kids and teachers and also between teachers and families. We also have to be thinking about issues of racial diversity. How do we ensure that we tackle the problem that majority of kids in our nation's public schools are kids of color, but only 18% of our teachers are teachers of color? There are also the issues of linguistic diversity. Think about a student who may be in a school where no one speaks the language that he or she speaks at home, and how challenging that would be. How challenging that would be for the ability of teachers to communicate with parents. We have to recruit more bilingual teachers if we want to tackle these issues effectively. So too often as a society, we give up on young people who are in trouble, who are in crisis, rather than investing in those powerful relationships that can help them get back headed in a positive direction.
You know, often a false choice is set up between academic rigor and whole child learning that supports children's full identity. What would you identify as some of the most important changes we can make if we want our school systems to equitably meet the needs of the whole child?
Bank Street is an example that needs to be scaled. The message in the science is clear. We need a design that is mapped to the way the brain learns and the way that children grow. Whole child design combines 5 elements: positive developmental relationships, environments filled with safety and belonging, rich, meaningful learning experience so that students discover what they're capable of, the intentional development of the skills, mindsets, and habits that all successful learners have, and integrated student supports. The development of a whole child emerges when we combine these elements into experiences that connect to one another. And if you want to picture this, picture a shape like a web of experiences, because this is how our brains actually develop. Lots of connections that happen between structures of the brain. And it's these connections that produce increasingly complex skills. If educators teach only to the discrete math skills, some children will learn it. But if they teach to the whole child, they can support all students to understand it, become curious to learn more, be able to apply it to other problems, and students build analytic skills and discover parts of themselves they didn't know they had. This is the developmental approach that Bank Street exemplifies.
As we think about reopening, how can we support teachers and schools? How do we rebuild trust with communities?
As we return, three opportunities. One is how do we use those resources to center relationships to help address both the socio-emotional and academic needs that have been exacerbated by COVID. Two, how do we use the evidence base on high dosage tutoring in smart ways? Third, how might we use the resources to expand learning time? Are there smart approaches to summer, to after school, to weekend programming? But then the bigger question, how do we actually create a system that is more equitable, more just, more focused on the relationships and the whole child? We actually need to create something that is much different and much better.
A pathway to rebuilding trust is rebuilding trust not just within a school, but within the community in which that school is nested. So trust building has to be a partnership around a child. So every child knows the people that are invested in their growth and in their potential.
So I want to close with a question. I know you both know Charlie Bendit well. Can you each talk a little bit about him and your connection to him?
I got to know Charlie when he served on the New York State Board of Regents and got to see Charlie's incredibly thoughtful leadership. Charlie was always asking great questions and listening carefully to people's answers to try to understand what the needs were and how government could be a force for good in people's lives. And it was a pleasure to work with him, and it's a pleasure to be a part of celebrating him.
I met Charlie and Karen because of their involvement with my husband's organization. The word that comes to mind when I think of both Charlie and Karen is fierce. They are fiercely, fiercely dedicated to children, including their own, but also all children and all children thriving. All of this is why I was really, really pleased to be able to join in the celebration tonight to honor them.
I think Charlie is highly respected because he is a very respectful person of others.
Well, Jeff, it's a pleasure to be here talking about Charlie with you, and you're absolutely right. And Charlie is an incredibly competent and detailed board member, and no doubt that Bank Street chose wisely in asking Charlie Bendit to assist. He's deeply thoughtful, he's caring, he commits not only his resources, but his time.
And he always looks at other ways and others' views in solving problems.
Wherever Charlie has played a leading hand as a real estate developer, he reaches, as we do, deep into the community to find out what's needed.
There was something about him that I think set him a little bit apart. I think it was his character. He was always thoughtful. Charlie listens to what others have to say, and he truly does pay attention.
I mean, he has an ability to hear you out and hear his thoughts. He doesn't need to express his own thoughts first. He doesn't want to hear himself speak. He wants to wait until he had the right answer, which is a testament to the guy and something he still does today. He'll listen. I think he'll continue to find ways to add value to the teams of people he likes to associate with. And I'd bet on Charlie. Charlie, congratulations. You are most worthy and very pleased to be part of it.
Charlie, thank you for responding to my pressure and to Shales to join the board. You have been a terrific member of the whole community, and I think you echo all of what Bank Street stands for. And thank you.
I met Charlie when he was serving on the New York State Board of Regents. He came to visit my school, Global Leaders, a middle school on the Lower East Side. I remember Charlie and I sitting in my office and how impressed I was by his fluency of the education system on both the local and state level. That was the beginning of our partnership. During my first year as a superintendent, it was clear that it remained a priority for him to continue to support our children in District 1. I knew how important it was for him to connect and give back to the Lower East Side community. Over the years, he visited many of my schools, and together with his partners from Essex Crossings, they invested many resources to support our most vulnerable students and their families. Because of Charlie's generosity and commitment to District 1 schools, more than 300 students participated in an after-school enrichment program called City Seekers, which has continued unabated through the pandemic. Early childhood teachers will now receive high-quality research-based literacy training with Bank Street, and Charlie's network has helped our schools establish over 20 partnerships with local businesses to enhance student learning across the district. He continues to mentor and inspire me to lead and serve this special community. On behalf of District 1, thank you, Charlie, for your love, care, and dedication. We are forever grateful.
Thank you, Carrie. It's been inspiring to see your passion and energy and what you bring to the job every day to make the job of teaching a little bit brighter for your staff and, most importantly, to the students in your district. And I'd like to thank Jeff, who has been a friend, mentor, and colleague for over 35 years, not to mention a fellow board member. And to Paul, my partner, my friend for over 40 years, who has supported my various philanthropic endeavors in education, from hiring summer interns from the public schools in the Bronx to encouraging me to accept the role as member of the Board of Regents. I am extremely fortunate to have a friend and partner like Paul. I would also like to thank Shale, the president of Bank Street. He is, of course, the reason I joined the board. I have an enormous amount of respect for him and what he's accomplished both at Bank Street and at the Department of Education. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge my wife, Karen, who has been an important partner and supporter in all my philanthropic endeavors, but more importantly, in life. As a member of the New York City real estate community and a resident of New York City for 40 years, I have a deep commitment to improving and maintaining a high quality of life in the city. And as part of that, ensuring the success of future generations of our young people. Whatever success I've had in business, it's in part because I've been able to imagine what could be possible and have invested my time and resources to convince others to share that vision, whether it's a new development or a commitment to improving public education in New York City. Tonight, I'd like to ask you to share my vision of what could be possible if every child in New York had access to great teachers and a high-quality education. That's why I put my time, energy, and resources into supporting public education in New York City. When I started my company in 1993, I didn't have the resources I have today. But as our company grew, Paul and I began to see our years of efforts begin to bear fruit. And I felt the need to give back to the community. So in 1997, through a partnership with Taft High School in the Bronx, I started an internship for high school juniors and seniors. And what started out as 2 student internships has now grown to over 600. The idea behind the internships was to open the eyes of those students to the possibilities for their own future. A case in point is Lysandra Niki, who started working for us as a summer intern during her senior year of high school, doing administrative work at our management office in the Bronx. She returned every summer while she attended college. And when she graduated, she joined our company as a full-time employee in the leasing office of that 1,400 unit apartment complex in the northeastern part of the Bronx. Today, she's the general manager. She runs the entire complex at 30 years of age. So why did I join the board of Bank Street? I joined the Bank Street board because I believe in the work of the Bank Street College of Education. They prepare teachers for the challenges they face every day when they walk into that classroom. I firmly believe that the most important profession we have is that of a teacher. Good teachers engage, inspire, and motivate students to learn. That's why when Shale asked if Bank Street could honor me for my commitment to public education, I said, what we really need to do is we need to honor teachers because they're the real heroes. I hope that we've done that tonight. I'd like to close by saying that anyone can do what I've done. Everyone has something they can give, whether that's money or access to job opportunities, relationships, or just time. I've chosen to give to the cause of improving public education in New York City because to me, a good education is a basic right and a requirement for success. Education shapes the people who will face the challenges and possibilities of the future. Thank you all for supporting Bank Street College. Our young people's future is in our hands.
Yes, Miss Jean Parsons. She was my freshman year teacher. That was how I was introduced to her. She was a ceramics teacher, so she was always ready to get dirty. She wore work boots and work pants and had short gray hair. She, for sure, is alive in my life all of the time. I actually recently have returned to ceramics, and so she's very vivid at this moment in my life. So what was even more important was what she said to me. And she said, it is far more important that you throw 100 cylinders and get 5 of them right than 10 perfect cylinders and only throw 10. Because out of 100 cylinders, you have 100 lessons. Bank Street is the kind of institution that is very similar to me in the way my high school was, and that process is really valued. And it's about that journey that you take. And it has influenced every way that I teach in the classroom. I try to make sure that I put more attention on what the journey is about and the lessons that are learned along the journey, rather than just the end product. Anytime I'm talking to parents, anytime I'm talking to families, I want to make sure they understand that, yes, this is a beautiful personal narrative that the child has written, but here are all the stages that went into it. And it's important for me that those stages are honored because that's where the heart is. That's where the pain, the joy, and the hardship is in that journey from point A to point B. Thank you, Ms. Parsons, for everything you've taught me.
We now have Shalini Marquez joining us. Shalini is currently at Bank Street in the 4th grade. Hi, Shalini.
Hi.
Can you share with us something about a teacher who was important to you, who opened your eyes to something you didn't expect, or had you just experienced things that you didn't anticipate how wonderful they were?
Well, my drama teacher, John Regis, he made me experience drama in a way that I probably wouldn't have in other schools. It's one of my favorite classes because it's so fun and you can work together with other people or by yourself. It's really interesting.
Are there other kinds of classes that you feel like are impacting your life and that are kind of lighting your brain on fire?
My art class, we learn about so many different things. Like in Bank Street in social studies, we're working about ancient Egyptians. We're learning about ancient Egypt, and they sort of taught us how to make the wall paintings, sort of how the ancient Egyptians made it. So they put the study that we were doing into social studies into other stuff.
Do you think you would gravitate to art or to drama, or are those just interests now and do you want to stay open to other things, or which way are you leaning at this point?
I'm sort of more leaning to being a historian because I want to teach about ancient Egypt, but I also want to be an actress. So the thing is, my parents have always told me you can be a lot of things at once. So I think I'm going to do all of that. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably say acting, because you can be anyone, literally.
I also found that the more things I studied outside of acting, the better the actor I became. So keep your eyes and your heart open, and maybe you'll give us a job one day. Thank you, Shalini. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
We've got one more Bank Street student on the line. Here's 7th grader Theo Bank. Hi, Theo.
Hi.
How's it been during COVID? I mean, are you doing all your classes at home, or do you have some in-person classes, or how's it working these days?
My teachers for these last 2 semesters, Julia Fields and Matt Moss, they've been really good at teaching online, and they've adapted the curriculum really well. And I don't feel like we've lost much at all when we've had to be online.
That's terrific.
How was it seeing your friends on, going back to school?
Well, everyone was definitely a lot taller.
Yeah.
Some people who were shorter than me were taller than me after going offline and online. But I think it was just really great to see anyone and everyone, because we'd been locked up in quarantine for almost like nearly a year.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it wasn't, we didn't really, we definitely noticed changes in ourselves, but we were just glad to be together when we came back.
How was that, being home all the time with your parents?
It varied from moment to moment.
You don't have to answer that under the grounds that it may incriminate you.
Sometimes it was easier than others. I'd say I definitely grew much closer to my parents during this time.
Obviously, a crisis that has just destroyed so many families and communities, COVID, but there have been a couple of these unexpected upsides, I think, in families with a lot of moms I've talked to and in my community. Just as a mom, and when you're a dad one day, you'll know this, there's just nothing better than having your kid home, unless he really doesn't like you. Do you sing in the chorus or anything at Bank Street right now?
Well, I wouldn't say I have a voice of an angel in the first place.
What we've learned, Tony and I, is that Bank Street is unique and that the arts are considered, and it's an essential part of the curriculum. And they're considered as essential as more traditional subjects like math, science, social studies, and language arts.
Yes, I've been at the school for almost 9 years, so I've really had that experience.
And music is integral to Bank Street's philosophy. Jane, grab the flute.
Oh,
please.
I'm glad I brought it. I'll be right back, Theo.
Theo, Bank Street acknowledges that every person is born with the innate drive to move and to make sound. At Bank Street, children are first encouraged to explore music making as a form of self-expression through singing, movement, and with the use of percussion instruments. The music curriculum is designed to promote self-expression for all ages and all abilities.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Jane, that's enough. Cut. Jane?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. That's good. Really, it's great. So get this, Theo. Next, the Bank Street Chorus is going to sing Defying Gravity from Stephen Schwartz's score from the musical Wicked.
How was that?
That was really good. So nice, but you went a little sharp going into the second cello rondo there. Just a hair.
He's got perfect pitch. Thank you. I appreciate you telling me that. I'll work on that.
Theo, thanks for spending time with us, really.
Thanks for having me.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leave. It's time to try defying gravity. I can try defying gravity.
At what age did you discover that you liked composing and directing shows?
We used to do shows in the backyard on the picnic table with the neighborhood kids and, invite parents to come see them. And I sort of directed those shows. So this started very early. I would say I was maybe 9 years old or so.
And you can't bring me down. Can't I make you understand? You're having delusions of grandeur.
What pushed you to continue writing songs?
I had support for that, both from my parents, and then when I went to school and would write things, I would be able to get them presented, and that encouraged me to continue. And then when I finally graduated from college, by that time I was just determined that that was going to be the career I was going to pursue.
Unlimited. Together we're unlimited.
When you write a song, do you always know what context it will be sung in, or do you figure out the story from the song?
That's a really good question, Ariadne. It makes me wonder if you have interest in being a writer too, because that's a real writer's question. For me, if I'm writing a song that is going to go into a show or into a movie, it's all about the context. That's very important for me to know if the song is going to be in a show or a movie, because to me it's all about the storytelling.
Dreams the way we planned them. If we work in tandem, there's no fight we cannot win. Just you and I.
My question is, what is your favorite thing that you did?
I'm sorry to have to, answer a question with well, everything is my favorite, but shows and movies take a long time and you have to devote a great deal of time and a great deal of energy to them. So it's important for me to fall in love with them, as I say, and for them, each one to feel like my favorite while I'm doing it.
At least I'm flying free. Tell those who've grown me.
We're singing Defying Gravity. Do you have any advice?
It's a song about someone kind of giving up old dreams that don't work for her anymore and embracing the fact that she has power and she's going to use it. So I guess my advice would be to think about that when you are singing the song, to think about what your gift is or your power is, and it may be just the act of singing, and that you are using it because you are strong and determined. And I think if you put that into the song, if all of you singing the song put that into it, it will have, the song will come to life.
It's not really a teacher, not a person that was in the teacher role with me. It was a colleague, a fellow who was actually my boss. He was the dean of the School of Education at the University of North Dakota, and he hired me to be the associate dean.
This was an English teacher, and she assigned me to write something every single night for homework in my journal.
The teacher that I remember most would be my 3rd and 4th grade teacher. And what was just so memorable about Miss Rios was that she really had an investment in me.
Vito Perrone was a generous, warm, intellectual man. He was my supervisor, but he didn't manage me at all. He trusted that I would do the best work I could in my own way.
I wrote stories and essays, and I enjoyed it, and it opened a lot of things up for me, and it became a really good habit.
She just had a great way of seeing me as a student, all aspects of me, socially, academically. She knew my strength areas as well as the areas where I struggled, but also understood my dynamics with my peers and members of my family she knew, and so that felt really supportive. She was beautiful both inside and out, a beautiful African-American woman. She wore glasses. I remember I wanted glasses so much as a little kid.
Appearances were not the point at all with Vito. He was a chubby Italian guy who would come back from playing, not racquetball, but he would come back having just in a sweat, having played with the president on this. He would just work himself like up to a total frenzy.
She really emphasized how special we each were individually, and we all had our own unique superpowers and our own unique value that we brought into the world, and that, the world wouldn't be the same place if we weren't here to do that.
We were trying to find ways to educate Native people to be teachers in Native schools on reservations. We would fly all over the place, visit teachers, visit classrooms, talk with parents, and really try to learn that community and to figure out really how best to educate a body of teachers for those places. And he openly shared that work with me and made me a real partner when he didn't have to. He didn't have to do that.
She was a teacher who really understood that, I needed maybe a more personalized kind of attention or assignment.
I think that's the magical part of being able to, and the privilege of being at Bank Street. We have a really unique opportunity to help educators reimagine what education can be and to really take them back to those most foundational, fundamental aspects of teaching, where what's most important is connecting to what it means to be a child, to allow children to thrive and experience joy while also learning, and to just anchor ourselves in relationships as being the most central part of it all.
Well, that's a wrap, as they say. Who says that? I've never heard that.
I think they say it on television shows.
Really? I've never heard it.
It has been fun.
And inspiring.
I agree. Another humble reminder before we part.
If you are in a position to support Bank Street, just know that they are doing important and profound work.
And just think about your favorite teacher. Think about what your favorite teacher meant to you.
And know that Bank Street, with your help, will remain at the forefront of progressive education.
So good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us.
Yes, good night. Thank you. And thank you.
And thank you.
And thank you.
Get set, action.
Thank you. Yay, thank you. Woo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for supporting Bank Street. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, though, my dad taught us all to swim on the ironing board. My father was a...
That's good teaching.
It was. This was Milwaukee. Nobody has swimming pools. And he was a state champion breaststroker or something. Pulaski High School in Milwaukee. And he would put us on the ironing board and teach us the Australian crawl.
That's so interesting because my father taught us to iron in the lake.